Quavo and Diddy have had at least a little bit of hip-hop crossover throughout the years, but definitely not since November of 2023. The former was the latest of many celebrities who got questions about Sean Combs' federal trial, and he didn't appreciate them at all. As reported by XXL, a video surfaced online on Friday, June 27th, of the former Migo walking through what seems to be a stadium along with his entourage. At one point, you can hear a reporter ask him the following question from slightly afar: "Do you have any thoughts on what's happening to P. Diddy in the trial?" Quavo was not amused, and he made that visibly clear by giving the reporter a very annoyed and indignant facial expression. Not only that, but he even reached out and slapped the reporter's camera for the inquiry before walking away, although it's unclear what he remarked in response. "You don't have to hit the camera," the reporter retorted. This point, we're sure a whole lot of people who have nothing to do with the bad boy mogul have heard a lot of questions about this massive gossip scandal. So this reaction is understandable, albeit confrontational. As for the Diddy trial itself, this week saw the conclusion of both prosecutors' and defense attorneys' closing arguments. The former alleged that Combs ran a criminal enterprise, whereas the latter alleged that this is an exploitative cash grab over private, consensual sexual activity. Furthermore, following these final statements, the jury will begin deliberations on Monday, June 30th. We will see how long that lasts, although Judge Arun Subramanian hopes to be done by the 4th of July. If convicted, Combs could face up to life in prison, although that depends on the specific charges and other conditions. He and his legal team deny the allegations against him. Elsewhere, Quavo is focusing on more important things. He recently reunited with Offset and various loved ones to celebrate what would have been Takeoff's 31st birthday. Huncho's got his own stuff to handle, and he wants no part in other narratives within hip-hop. And really, who could blame him? Past 2 years have been an emotional and spiritual gauntlet for Quavo, who rose to prominence as one of the voices of the Atlanta-based trio Migos, only to witness the unraveling of the group's bond and later suffer the tragic, senseless loss of his nephew Takeoff. The trauma of that moment lingers not only in Quavo's music but in his entire demeanor, his focus, and his silence. The rapper is clearly still grieving. But grief is not just about mourning. It's also about protecting yourself, your energy, your peace, your dignity. That slap on the camera wasn't about Diddy. It was a visceral rejection of being baited into someone else's downfall when he's still healing from his own. Truth is, in a world so obsessed with watching stars fall, people forget that some celebrities are doing everything they can just to stand upright. Quavo isn't new to controversy or pressure, but he's also no longer interested in playing a character in other people's scandals. He has transformed, hardened perhaps, but also more introspective. In the time since Takeoff's death, he's appeared more selective, more measured. He's not chasing the limelight anymore. He shows up when it matters, when there's music, when there's a cause, when there's a family gathering worth honoring. The rest? It's noise. And noise is dangerous when your heart is still broken. To understand why Quavo might be so sensitive to this moment, you have to understand what he's survived. The Migos weren't just a rap group, they were family. Quavo and Takeoff had a bond that exceeded music, fame, or money. They moved in sync. Even when Offset and Quavo reportedly had their differences, Quavo and Takeoff kept their connection strong. After the split within the group, Quavo and Takeoff continued performing and releasing music as a duo, and their chemistry was undeniable. Then the unthinkable happened. A life lost over a senseless argument at a bowling alley in Houston. The images of Quavo holding his dying nephew's body are etched into the minds of fans forever, and into his own soul. So when a reporter, likely aware of the media storm surrounding Diddy, tried to rope Quavo into a comment on that scandal, it felt like a cheap shot. Not because Diddy's actions don't matter, they absolutely do, and justice should be served where it's due, but because it was clear the question wasn't meant to bring justice. It was bait for virality. It was the kind of question asked not for truth, but for clicks. And that's what hurts the most when you're just trying to walk a quiet path forward. When you're trying to move with dignity, the last thing you need is someone trying to yank you back into chaos that isn't yours. What people may not realize is that this isn't just a legal trial, it's a cultural reckoning. Diddy, once the crown jewel of hip-hop entrepreneurship, is now the epicenter of some of the most disturbing allegations to hit the music industry in decades. He stands accused not of one single transgression but of orchestrating a pattern of abuse that spans years, involving multiple women, and laced with coercion, manipulation, and exploitation. Prosecution insists that Diddy used his empire as a smokescreen for darker dealings, while his defense team argues these claims are false, exaggerated, or strategically timed cash grabs. That's the backdrop behind the question thrown at Quavo. That's the weight that reporters are asking artists to carry with every comment, every reaction. It's a heavy ask. It assumes that because you're famous, you should have something to say. That because you're a peer in the industry, you're obligated to weigh in. But there's a difference between being part of a community and being dragged into someone else's moral battlefield. And Quavo knows that difference all too well. While the courtroom continues to buzz with arguments and speculation, artists like Quavo are trying to build something more lasting. He's been focusing on his craft, his legacy, and his loved ones. When he and Offset reunited to honor Takeoff's birthday, fans were emotional. It was more than just a tribute, it was a symbol of healing, of putting aside differences for the sake of someone they both loved. It was a reminder that underneath the fame, the money, the chains, and the bravado, these men are family. They bleed the same as anyone. They cry like anyone. And they deserve peace just like anyone. But peace is a luxury in this industry. Candle is currency. Rage is a business model. And every time a celebrity is asked to comment on someone else's trial, someone else's shame, someone else's alleged crimes, it chips away at the boundaries between truth and performance. Quavo's refusal, his gesture, however aggressive, is a small rebellion against that system. It's him saying, "I am not your soundbite. I am not your easy take. I am not going to be the man you capture in a 10-second clip for Twitter engagement." He is more than that. He's an artist, cousin, a grieving soul. And that deserves more respect than a baited question in a hallway. There's also a growing frustration among hip-hop artists about being used as the face of scandal. When a white celebrity is accused of wrongdoing, there's often a grace period, an assumption of innocence, a slow and careful media approach. When it's a black man, the questions come fast, the headlines come faster, and everyone around him is immediately pulled into the gravity of the downfall. That double standard is exhausting. And Quavo's patience with it has clearly run dry. Meanwhile, the public waits to see what will become of Sean Combs. Will the jury convict him? Will the full truth ever be known? Whatever the outcome, one thing is certain. The ripples of this trial are already reshaping the industry. Contracts are being scrutinized. Brand partnerships are dissolving. Artists are reconsidering who they align with. And fans are more alert than ever to the power dynamics that have long been whispered about but rarely challenged in music's upper echelons. Yet amid all this noise, Quavo walks his path. A little quieter. A little wiser. Still hurting but still moving. He's been through too much to be derailed by someone else's storm. And in that quiet resistance, there's a kind of strength that no microphone or camera can fully capture.